Ships at sea are at the mercy of nature. Every voyage a sea-going adventure, the outcome of which is never known. What's the connection between sugar, the business acumen of a 19-year-old, post-war Japan, and shipping? India, a nation of deep cultural heritage, dates back to 3000 BC. In the Hindu Puranas, Varuna is the god of the oceans, his vehicle a crocodile, and his weapon a rope loop, which is the ally of any seafarer. The inhabitants of the Indus Valley civilization had maritime trade links with Mesopotamia. Mohenjo-daro and Harappa have revealed ample evidence that maritime trade existed. Lothal was one of the earliest cities in current Gujarat from where trade was done. Indian ships sailed to Egypt as the thriving maritime routes of southern Asia were not controlled by any single power. From time immemorial, men have conquered the roaring waters of the ocean and exploring the earth and laying new trade routes. The arrival of the British in the 16th century changed the trajectory and shifted the power to the British East India Company, who needed to control the ports and the ships to control India. This allowed the British to use this powerful resource to push the industrialization of the West at the cost of the East, putting the Indian merchant marine on the back foot for the next few centuries. As India entered the 20th century, the movement for an independent India had taken root. It was in this environment that Valchand Hirachand and Narottam Morarji, both forward-thinking visionaries, started the Scindia Steam Navigation Company by purchasing the hospital ship the Empress of India, renamed the SS Loyalty, from the Maharaja of Gwalior. This, in 1919, was the start of the Indian Merchant Marine, when the SS Loyalty, which can be described as the first Swadeshi ship, made her first voyage. She sailed on the 5th of April from Alexandria Dock in Bombay with the odds loaded against her. Thus, the seeds were sown and the scene was set for the Indian Merchant Marine. The British government did not take kindly to such bold moves and created a strict guideline to limit the operation of the vessel to near coastal voyages and countries like Burma and Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, in the 1920s, Jagjeevan Ujamshi Mulji and Company, who were importing sugar from Java to India on their chartered steamers, brought down the freight cost from Rs 27 a ton to Rs 10 a ton. Thus, the brothers Jagjeevan and Maniknal saw the potential and impact of shipping as a business. This was first blood. The business continued to grow until the 1930s, when the Great Depression hit and businesses suffered heavy losses. This quelled their business, but not their entrepreneurial spirit. They approached a wealthy business family in Bombay, the Bhiwandiwalas, and won their confidence. They assured them that though they did not have the money, they had strong business skills and would multiply Bhiwandiwala's investment. Thus began the partnership between the Bhiwandiwalas and the brothers Maniklal and Jagjeevan under the name Adarshi Hormusji Bhiwandiwala and Company, the initials on the company flag. Initially, in the 1930s, the firm was engaged in the import of large quantities of sugar from Surabaya by chartering ships. This experience in chartering of ships made them the largest sugar importers and gave them appetite, experience, and a deep understanding of the shipping business. There was a thirst to buy ships, but the World War broke out and the environment was no longer suitable for buying ships, and neither were the prices. Again, the powder was dry, the stage was set, the only missing piece being timing. In shipping, time is an ally. Waiting and patience is the name of the game. This patience finally paid off when the British, under pressure of the World War and the gaining momentum of the freedom movement, were forced to quit India in 1947. Now that the reins of the country were with leaders of a free India looking to grow and push the country to be an independent, self-sustaining economy, Swadeshi in every way, the time was ripe. Enter Vasant Sheth, 19 at the time, who was sent to Britain and America for grooming in the business. During his travels, he met Mr. I.S. Chopra of the Indian Foreign Service and mentioned his plans to own and operate ships. Mr. Chopra took a shine to the boy and asked him to get in touch when in Washington. In Washington, Mr. Chopra put him in touch with the lawyer who suggested that Vatan Sheth apply for the out-of-service mothballed Liberty-class ship Fort Ellice. These ships were built to haul supplies on the transatlantic voyage from America to Europe for the war effort. Now that the war had ended, these ships were being sold at throwaway prices by the US Maritime Commission. These vessels were built for one voyage only, at minimal cost, and had no comforts since they were not likely to survive the German U-boat torpedoes. They were built with small engines and minimum machinery to keep the costs down, but strong, thick hulls to withstand the German firepower. They were the perfect workhorses, flexible for liner and bulk trades, and continued operations till the 1970s, 30 years later. After getting clearance from Bombay, an application fee of $25,000 was paid and the application filed in the name of A.H. Bhiwandiwala and Company. The result of the application would be known 3 months later. Vasant Sheth came home and was busy in his trading activities when he received a telegram from the Ministry of External Affairs saying that the vessel had been released to A.H. Bhiwandiwala and Company and the balance money had to be paid in 3 weeks' time. The delivery of the vessel was taken on 3rd May 1948, named the Jug Vijay. Jug, taken from Vasant Sheth's father's name, Jagjeevan, meaning world, a prefix we maintain to date, and Vijay, meaning victory, thus translating to world victory. This kick-started the story of Great Eastern, brought together by India's independence, the end of the Second World War, and a cheap ship bought at the right time. This conflux of timing and quality assets have since been the trademark of Great Eastern. The first voyage with a cargo of coal was from Baltimore to Civitavecchia in Italy, followed by Aden in Yemen to Calcutta with a cargo of salt. From Calcutta, she loaded coal to Okha and then returned to her home port, Bombay. Once the vessel was in Bombay, after all the crew troubles, Indian crew was put on board and the foreign crew repatriated. Mr. H.T. Parekh, a close family friend and advisor, in his immense wisdom, advised the family to keep its interests in shipping and sugar separate. The end of the World War had reoriented many economies and the geopolitical ties between nations had changed. Japan in particular was hit especially hard and in 1951 was recently released from Allied occupation. This once proud nation had been brought to its knees after the atomic bombs and was struggling to revive its economy and industry. It was at this time that Great Eastern placed 2 orders with Mitsubishi Shipyard in Japan, becoming the first Indian company to place orders with a Japanese yard. This was the first project of K.M. Sheth, a student then, who followed in the steps of his father and uncle. He stayed in Japan and visited the yard during the building of the 2 ships, to be named the Jug Jamna and the Jug Ganga. Having put their faith in Japanese shipbuilders at a time crucial to rebuild their country's economy, K.M. Sheth also forged a lasting relationship with Yamashita Steamship Company by getting the All India Agency for Great Eastern. Great Eastern also ordered 2 bulk vessels from Blohm & Voss in Germany. These were the Jug Dev and the Jug Darshan. These revolutionary designs were adapted by the Hindustan Shipyard in Visakhapatnam to build 4 more vessels: Jagdish, Jug Dharma, Jagdhir, and Jagdut. The Jagdhir was eventually sold to the Tata Group. This was a design that the architect had been trying to sell all over the world but had no takers. This is Great Eastern's ability to find and recognize a good thing and bring it to its fruition. The 50s and 60s saw unrelenting demand for shipping, where shipping grew 5-fold. The first trigger was the Korean War from 50 to 53, followed by the closure of the Suez Canal from October 56 to March 57. This forced all shipping traffic to go around Africa via the Cape of Good Hope instead of via the Suez Canal. This increased the voyage duration by 15 days, increasing the demand for ships and shipping, in turn increasing the freight and in turn increasing earnings and profits. A major part of the ships passing through the canal are tankers carrying oil and oil products. This demand for tankers led to the first oil tanker Jug Jyoti being bought second-hand in 1956, being India's first oil tanker and a whole new avenue of business for Great Eastern. While closer to home, in 1962, the impact of the Indo-China War could be felt with strict control on foreign exchange and public spending. India was striving to attain food security when agriculture production stagnated and then worsened by 2 consecutive droughts. On one hand, we were short on foreign exchange, and on the other hand, we were paying commission in dollars to carry our own cargo. KM Sheth recommended to the Indian government that we as a nation should start our own chartering wing to provide the Indian public sector with the expertise to handle their own shipping activities. This resulted in the formation of Transchart in 1964 to ensure the cargo support of the Indian flag vessels, nationalizing India's chartering activity. This highly cyclical business takes a certain type of businessman to succeed. It requires a different approach and a stomach for a high-risk game. This is a volatile business, susceptible to global events like the closure of the Suez Canal in 1967, which brought about the oil boom, the Yom Kippur War in 1973, where we faced an oil embargo against the United States, the Iran-Iraq War in 1979, followed by the Gulf War in 1990, and the invasion of Iraq by America in 2003, all causing an increase in tanker demand. If this wasn't enough to put a twist in the tail, in the early 90s, the International Maritime Organization adopted a regulation mandating a new design for tankers, phasing out single-hull ships to prevent pollution. If a single-hull vessel touches the bottom, there is only one layer of steel between the oil and the sea. The new regulation required two. As a result, ship owners started panic selling their vessels at discounted rates. Taking a contrarian view, Great Eastern believed that if managed well, these ships could run profitably. This period coincided with the end of the license permit Raj, where government approvals were required for anything involving foreign exchange payment, be it dry docking or emergency repairs. Sensing this business opportunity, Great Eastern purchased several such vessels in quick succession. The end of the dreaded license permit Raj gave fresh waves of liberalization, industry independence, and ventures into more areas of business. One such instance is the voyage of the Jug Ladki, which became the first Indian crude oil tanker to call America post the Oil Pollution Act of 1990. This was a new trade route for the company, bringing in fresh opportunities and new challenges. Down the line, as a part of the fleet renewal, Great Eastern built its own double-hull tanker, the Jug Prakash in 2007, at the STX shipyards in South Korea. Great Eastern's foray into the offshore industry commenced in 1983, when it became India's first shipping company to invest in offshore support vessels. It was not until 2006 that it set up the Great Ship Group, its wholly owned subsidiary. When in 2004 the country struck gas on the East Coast, it became a game changer and Great Ship began operations with the purchase of two mid-sized platform supply vessels. The Great Eastern Institute of Maritime Studies was set up to train the next generation of seafarers. Great Eastern further stepped into ESG, Environmental, Social and Governance initiatives. The Vasant J. Sheth Memorial Foundation was set up in memory of Great Eastern's founder and is dedicated to promoting education, welfare, health and conservation. The Turtle Center in Rushikulia in Orissa is one such venture. The Great Eastern CSR Foundation was incorporated in 2015. The focus is on corporate social responsibility in three sectors: education, health, and livelihood development, aiming to uplift and empower the vulnerable, marginalized, and low-income population in India.
The Great Eastern CSR Foundation was set up in February 2015. It is the corporate social responsibility arm of the Great Eastern Shipping Group, working to transform the lives of those at the bottom of the pyramid. The foundation prioritizes bridging the last mile and creating sustainable impact where resources are scarcest and development needs are the greatest. We have supported a diverse range of development initiatives under education, health, and livelihood generation through skill building and women empowerment. Additionally, the foundation supports distinctive programs focused on persons with disability, sports for positive change, and women-led farming models that help break gender bias. It therefore partners with non-governmental organizations to achieve its goal of uplifting the lives of low-income communities. It is a belief that education is a fundamental human right. Hence, at Great Eastern CSR Foundation, we have partnered with NGOs to support them to make a difference. Let's hear some of our success stories.
All sections of society aspire for proficiency in English. Yet, there are millions of children in government and private schools who study English in the classroom for over 10 years but achieve no competency in the language at all. For over a decade, Kathleen Bath Education Company has been working at scale to deliver the English language proficiency to these children in government and private schools and has impacted over 1 million children to date. The Kathleen Bath pedagogy is a mother tongue based approach. It's an innovation where the Kathleen Bath classroom is a carnival of mime, music, moments, theatre, picture books, and audiobooks with fantastic storytelling. This immersive ecosystem enables the child to become functionally proficient in English in just about 100 hours. I'm extremely happy that Great Eastern CSR Foundation is enabling the implementation of Kathleen Bath in 50 rural and semi-urban schools in Ahmedabad and the Gandhinagar districts in Gujarat, directly impacting 15,000 children as beneficiaries.
GA started supporting us in 2015-16 with 2 schools in Mumbai, which then increased to 5 schools in 2021. After the GR, which was passed by the Maharashtra state government in 2017, they reduced the teachers drastically in all the government-aided schools, and our night schools were hit very badly. That's when GS supported us with teachers, and that was a great support taking from us.
प्रोग्राम जब स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ था तो मेरा ये क्लास का वाल जो एकदम सुना सुना था एक्चुअली। तो ये प्रोग्राम होने का बाद पता चला कि हाँ, बच्चा को TLMs ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है। उसके बाद सबसे अच्छा मेथड है प्लेवे मेथड, बच्चा को पढ़ाने का। तो ये सब चार्ट वगैरह, फ्लैश कार्ड, ये जो कम बजट में भी आ जाता है, तो ये मेरा बच्चा के साथ मिलके बनाया मैं।
हमारे स्कूल में ये आर्गनी सीनियर्स है कि हम लोग क्लासेस में, साइंस क्लासेस में हम लोग जो चार्ट पोस्टर यूज़ करवाते हैं और मॉडल, उससे हम लोग को ईजी होते हैं और कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हो जाते हैं। और ये हम लोग नया न्यू ही लाइब्रेरी खुला है ये पर, और उधर में हम लोग IT क्लास भी होते हैं और स्मार्ट क्लासेस भी है।
अपने स्कूल में जो पाठ्य पुस्तकें आ रही थी हमारे पास, वो सभी हिंदी भाषी थी। जब से ये प्रोजेक्ट चला है LLF वाला, इसके अंतर्गत जो पुस्तक आ रही है, पाठ्य पुस्तकें, वो अपनी मातृभाषा में है, तो बच्चा आसानी से मातृभाषा को पढ़ लिख सकते हैं इससे।
The Great Eastern CSR grant has been instrumental in designing and implementing one of the most systematic programs for multilingual education in the country. It has shown great results and its impact is going to be far and wide. For example, the government of Rajasthan is now keen to do language mapping and implement strategies for including children's languages in 9 districts in the state. Also, a program called Nishtha has been completed by 17 lakh teachers on multilingual education, which drew heavily from the Dungarpur program supported by Great Eastern CSR.
Supporting health initiatives has always been the Foundation's priorities, as it helps improve the well-being of individuals and communities. It is amazing to see the positive impact that our partners have made. Let's hear from some of the beneficiaries.
हमें एक डाइटिशियन मैडम मिली, जो डाइटिशियन मैडम कटर्स फाउंडेशन की तरफ से, जो हमें खाने की जानकारी के साथ साथ हमें खाने के सामान भी उपलब्ध कराए, जैसे एक राशन और प्रोटीन पाउडर। और आज उस सब चीज़ से हमारा बच्चा स्वस्थ हो चुका है। मेरे बच्चे का पूरा इलाज कंप्लीट हो चुका है। अब वह समान जिंदगी जी रहा है, स्कूल जाता है, मस्त रहता है।
जब वो बॉर्न हुआ तो उसके पैरों का शेप थोड़ा सा अलग लगा हुआ। 2-3 हॉस्पिटल में गए थे, लेकिन वहाँ से हम लोगों को मालूम पड़ा कि वाड़िया हॉस्पिटल में इसका ट्रीटमेंट होता है। फिर वहाँ पे जब हम लोग आए तो हम लोग को बहुत अच्छा लगा, वहाँ का ट्रीटमेंट भी अच्छा लगा और उन लोगों ने बहुत अच्छे से कवर किया उस चीज़ पे। जिन लोगों ने ना इसके पैर पहले देखे हुए थे और अब देखते हैं उसको, तो वो लोग बोलते हैं कि इसके ठीक हो गए पैर। अरे देखकर मालूम नहीं पड़ता है।
गोविंदा रीजन जहां अमृत गिरी काम कर रहे हैं, वो है राजस्थान, सदर्न राजस्थान के पूरेस्ट एरिया है, मोस्ट वल्नरेबल एरिया है, जहां पर ग्रेट ईस्टर्न के सपोर्ट से बहुत प्रभाव देखने को मिल रहा है। अभी तक 16,000 से अधिक विजिट्स पेशेंट के हो चुके हैं और 100 TB, सिलिकोसिस आदि के मरीजों के इलाज हो चुके हैं, चल रहे हैं और थाउजेंड्स लाइफ सेविंग हो चुकी है। इस तरह से ऑल एरिया में एक लाइफ चेंजिंग प्रभाव देखने को मिल रहा है।
At Great Eastern CSR Foundation, we believe skill development is an important aspect as it empowers individuals and communities to build a sustainable source of income. Let us see how this has changed the lives of low-income communities.
Great Eastern Shipping has been supporting OGQ through CSR for the last 6 years. This support has been going towards the training of our young athletes in Olympics and Paralympics. Confidence and self-belief comes from solid preparation. In one way, the medals that these young athletes wins helps bring great pride to the entire nation, but more importantly, I truly believe that it gives a dream to thousands of young kids to believe that they can do whatever they want in life.
माझे पती वारल्यावर मला 6 महिन्याची मुलगी होती. मी तिला घेऊन माझ्या माहेरी आले आणि इथं आल्यानंतर 1 वर्षामध्ये माझा भाऊ पण वारला. मग मी ते गेल्यानंतर मला तर असं आता एवढ्यांची जिम्मेदारी कोण घेणार, कसं घेणार, हे सगळं ओझं वडील तर सांभाळू शकत नव्हते. पण मी एक निर्णय घेतला की मला आता काहीतरी करायला पाहिजे. मग GSच्या महिला आल्या आणि गावातून आणि मला ट्रेनिंगला घेऊन गेल्या. मला ते ट्रेनिंगमध्ये शिकवलं गेलं की जनावरांची निगा कशी करायची, भाजीपाल्याचा व्यवसाय कसा करायचा. आणि मी त्या व्यवसायामधून शिकल्यावर मी माझ्या शेतामध्ये येऊन भाजीपाला केला. ते ट्रेनिंग घेऊन आल्यापासून माझ्या व्यवसायात खूप वाढ झालेली आहे. आता मी महिना 20,000 रुपयेपर्यंत कमवते.
Rakshan is a project that iPartner India implements in Rajasthan. We work with communities to prevent minor girls from commercial sexual exploitation. Great Eastern CSR Foundation has been supporting Rakshan for the last 4 years. Through their support, we have been able to see a transformational impact in 27 villages. We have reached out to 64,000 people through different activities. 4,800 children through health camps, education support and scholarships, and almost 1,100 youth through youth groups to build their leadership and skills. Hundreds of women are now linked with self-help groups and livelihood activities. Almost 2,000 families have been supported to enhance their agricultural activities, and 150 girls have been prevented to enter sex work. Great Eastern CSR Foundation has been a partner to us in its true sense. They have walked the path with us through its ups and downs. While many donors stay away from such complex projects, they have supported us with full commitment and encouragement. The team of Great Eastern has shown utmost sensitivity and patience. Change is coming even though the revolution is far away.
घर वाले मतलब पहले तो पढ़ाने के लिए मुझे राज़ी नहीं था, उन्होंने मना कर दिया था. लेकिन फिर मैंने उन्हें एक्सप्लेन किया कि मुझे जो रक्षण परियोजना है उसके तहत स्कॉलरशिप मिल सकती है. तो वो पढ़ाने के लिए राज़ी हुए और उन्होंने एडमिशन कराया फिर से मेरा स्कूल में. इस स्कॉलरशिप की वजह से मुझे काफ़ी सपोर्ट मिला है फ़ीस भरने में भी, और आगे भी इसी की वजह से मैं अपनी स्टडी रेगुलर कर पा रही हूँ. रक्षण परियोजना के अंतर्गत शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में नट समुदाय के बच्चों के लिए कोचिंग की व्यवस्था की गई है, और इसके अलावा बालिकाओं के लिए छात्रवृत्ति की व्यवस्था की गई है, जिससे बालिकाओं को सेक्स वर्कर में जाने से रोका जा सके. महिलाओं के लिए आजीविका के लिए बढ़ाने के लिए सिलाई सेंटर की व्यवस्था की गई है. कुछ उद्यमी महिलाओं को बकरी पालन, मुर्गी पालन दिया गया है एवं किचन गार्डन दिया गया है, जिससे महिलाओं की आजीविका को बढ़ाया जा सके.
नना होउछि सोमवारी हेसदा आउ आम घर होउछि सुनापा आउ मु आगुरी बहुत माटी काम करूथिली. से माटी काम भल मिलु नथिला. एबे एठी आसिकरी मल बढ़िया मु काम करूछि. आउ ट्रेनिंग नेली 6 मास. ट्रेनिंग नेकरी एना में बैग कपड़ा मु बाहर करूछि. आउ एना मु भल लागुछि. आउ पिला दीटा अछंती, पुटे झियो होते एठी पढ़ा को आसुँच. स्कूल तो एबे बंद अच्छी कोरोना टाइम रो आबे ही फ्री पढ़ुंट से पिला दुटा आना केमती पैसा रोजगार करी मो पिला छुआ जमती भल पाठ पढ़े सेटा मु बहुत चेष्टा करे.
We believe in creating a positive impact, and for us, corporate social responsibility has evolved into something very meaningful within the organization. In life, simple choices that we make can add up to make a real difference. Here at the Great Eastern Shipping Group, we are doing our best to contribute to the upliftment of India's most vulnerable sections of society.